Song Yadong still hasn't found the signature win of his career. Even his win over Henry Cejudo was overshadowed by controversy surrounding the fouls. Even now, what does beating Deiveson Figueiredo actually mean? At 38 years old and losing every meaningful fight at bantamweight, Deiveson Figueiredo doesn't bring much to the table anymore. That's the frustrating thing about this fight. Song Yadong probably wins, but I'm not sure it actually advances his career at all. At only 28 years old, this fight feels less like a breakthrough fight, more like an opportunity for Song Yadong to simply get back on track. Seriously, it seemed like Song Yadong has been on the brink of a title shot for a while now and being put in that upper echelon of the deep bantamweight division that he's in, right? Well, every time he's come up against somebody that's been a step up, even like Kyler Phillips, but Corey Sandhagen, then you got the Henry Cejudo kerfuffle, you got the Petr Yan one before that. All of those fights have always been here's your chance, you couldn't get it done. Song Yadong is a very complete fighter. He's got really good wrestling, he's got great hands, and he's got pop with those hands. I mean, he has the ability to put anybody's lights out. I don't know if he'll put Deiveson Figueiredo's lights out this weekend, but he's going to be a threat with it. The problem with him is every time he gets the opportunity, like even beating Cejudo the way he did it, with the low blow. That's the one where Henry Cejudo was sitting on the mat. He took his whole 5 minutes. Like, hey, he was seen as the guy that, he won it, but his stocks kind of dropped. Deiveson Figueiredo is kind of like beating Cody Garbrandt right now, except Figueiredo, did more than Garbrandt. Let's be honest. But it's a case of who he's beating is not important. Like, the Cejudo win, again, like I said, but then you look like Chris Gutierrez, Ricky Simon, those are okay wins. Marlon Moraes, that was a title challenger, but again, it was kind of like at the end of the career. Julio Arce, Casey Kenny, Chito Vera, which was kind of like, maybe you beat Chito Vera, maybe you didn't. Vince Morales is okay. I mean, y'all know I like Vince Morales here. But there's plenty of wins, man. There's plenty of wins that he's got. And all of them are either that's somebody Song Yadong should beat, or it's Henry Cejudo, or this weekend, Deiveson Figueiredo. And I understand why they're headlining this. UFC desperately wants to get into this China market. But what we're doing here is not really advancing what Song Yadong can do. And if you want to be completely fair to him, he hasn't earned it. He's come up short against Corey Sandhagen. He's come up short against Petr Yan and against Sean O'Malley. He hasn't won these fights. And you look at Deiveson Figueiredo, who's had a very similar career, very similar, especially at the bantamweight. Of course, he had the quadrilogy, one of the greatest series fights of all time with Brandon Moreno. And, the Joseph Benavidez win, he's beat Alexandre Pantoja. If you want to, cut to the chase, Deiveson Figueiredo is a Hall of Famer. His bantamweight is just like a side quest, honestly. And he was close, he debuted against Rob Font, Cody Garbrandt he beat, and Chito Vera he beat. And it's like, wow, he might have the opportunity. Then he fights Petr Yan, loses. Then he fights Corey Sandhagen, loses. They book him against Montel Jackson, and, Jackson's a tough fight. He wins that, though, split decision. And then Umar Nurmagomedov loses. Just like Song Yadong, Deiveson Figueiredo loses every important fight that he's in. So it comes to, Figueiredo's 38 years old, and Song Yadong's 28, 10 years younger than him. What is he bringing to the table for Song Yadong? What does a win over Deiveson Figueiredo do for Song Yadong? It's not much. He gets him back on track after the Sean O'Malley loss, where Song Yadong didn't look terrible, but it was like, you can compete with the top guys. You can't beat them, though. This does nothing for him except get him back on track. And that's kind of what sucks about this fight, We're going back to China, to Macau, China, and it's got some okay fights on the card, but it's really kind of hey, here's all the Asian guys we got. Because, it's not just Asians, it's not just a Chinese fighter. You've got Zhang Mingyang in the co-main event. You've got Kai Asakura, a Japanese guy, on the main card. They got Jake Matthews here because he's a cheap flight over from Australia. Sumidraj is Chinese. Yisak Lee is a Korean guy. Like it's Rei Suyura, who's first of all, I'm excited for that fight. Zhang Jingnan making her debut against Angela Hill. That's actually kind of interesting. Unfortunately, Zhang Jingnan is pretty long in the tooth too. That said, Angela Hill's not like no spring chicken herself. Then Lumaluk Bumi's on this card. Like there's some good fighters on this card. But it seems like they're kind of phoning it in. They want them to win. They want them to produce knockouts. Like Zhang Mingyang's fighting Alonzo Menafield. You should knock him out. Cameron Smotherman is fighting Kai Asakura. Cameron Smotherman, one submission win on his record. He's not going to wrestle Kai Asakura. Asakura's going to run through this guy and get his first UFC win. Is it his first? Yeah. He beat Pantoja. He lost to Pantoja and lost to Tim Elliott, which is a tough out. But it's a disservice to Song Yadong. It is a disservice to his career and what he's done so far. Because he's an entertaining fighter. Song Yadong's a very entertaining fighter. Very entertaining. But it's, it's a win over a former champion. Been there, done that. He beat Cejudo. And Figueiredo's been there, done that. Beat Cody Garbrandt. Song Yadong deserves better than what they're giving him. And honestly, it's kind of his fault. Now, here's where I take the heel turn here, right? Like, I think Song Yadong, this is a meaningless fight for Song Yadong. Sure. But he's put himself in this situation. The losses to the elite competition, and you look at the top 5 of the bantamweight division, and I'm pulling that up now because, guys, I'm never prepared. But he constantly loses to the top of this division. And you look at the most stacked division in the UFC is bantamweight. Petr Yan, I'm looking at it now. Petr Yan, Merab, Umar, Sean O'Malley, Corey Sandhagen. And then he's number 5. He's lost to 3 of those. You really think he beats Merab? Do you think Song Yadong beats Umar Nurmagomedov? No, it doesn't even come close. He's put himself in a good spot with opportunistic wins. He could beat Amin Zahabi, and Deiveson Figueiredo is probably the best fighter he could have gotten on this card because he's ranked 7th. But at the end of the day, it's got to be a meaningful fight. And these two guys are in no man's land. So it's kind of like they're like, all right, either Figueiredo jumps into the top 5 and puts himself in contention, or, Song Yadong is exactly where he's supposed to be. Zhang Mingyang in the co-main event, we talked about it, like that's a knockout. Sergey Pavlovich and Talison Teixeira, heavyweight slop. Kai Asakura, I really do hope he wins, man. That'd be his 3rd loss on the trot. I don't think Kai Asakura is in a bad spot. We're running down the rest of the card. I don't know if y'all picked up on that or not. Jake Matthews, man, he's an interesting story. Neil Magny Darce choked him last time, though. But I think he was beating the brakes off of Magny. Carlston Harris, that's Alex Perez and Sumerdarji is a fun fight, actually. That's a really fun fight. Sumerdarji's had a easier time in the UFC, and Alex Perez, former title challenger, lost to Deiveson Figueiredo. Lupe Felipe Diaz and Yisak Lee, Ding Ming and Jose Henrique, 2 unranked guys. Arichi Lang is back against Cody Haddon. That's a fun fight, dude. Cody Haddon, he looked good against Arqueta in his last fight. I quite like Cody Haddon. I think he's got a promising future. Rei Suyura, 10-1. Y'all watch this guy. He's impressive. I don't know if you've watched him or not. You should watch. He's fighting Luis Garuli. Suyura hasn't fought the best of competition, and neither has Lewis. But Angela Hill and Zhang Jingnan. Again, that's Zhang Jingnan's the former champion in one championship, recently released from her contract. Last time she fought was March of last year, so bit of a layoff. Angela Hill's a tough out. She's tricky, so I could see Zhang Jingnan losing this, but it's good to see Zhang Jingnan finally make her UFC debut. Zhu Kangji is here fighting Rodrigo Vera, and then Lumaluk Bumi and Jacqueline Amarim, are fighting. I like Lumaluk Bumi, but she's kind of too small for even the strawweight division. But yeah, I had to rant. I had to get on here and rant for a minute for you guys about Song Yadong because he's in a peculiar spot, and so is Deiveson Figueiredo, but he's on the back end of his career, and to see him put in this position is understandable, but also it's frustrating because we know how good he can be.